Hi, this is Ishaan and you're watching me on Bollywood Hangama. Keep on watching.
So we have with us Ishaan Khattar. His first film is coming up, Beyond the Clouds, and he's in huge demand. There's a huge fan following that he is having amongst a lot of these teenagers and the bigger ones as well. So pleasure having you first of all on Bollywood Hangama.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
I must tell you that I've seen the film in Goa, and I was really looking forward to talking to you. And you've given an outstanding performance. And
Thank you,
how does it feel to just make a debut with a film like this, which tests your acting skills right away?
Well, at first I recognized that this is an opportunity to explore myself as an actor, and it's a challenge. And जैसे कहते हैं कि डर के आगे जीत है. If I were to overcome this challenge, then it would be fruitful and it would be an experience that would help me grow as an actor. And like you said, it's a film that is it's a complex part to start with right away. But I also felt as if I felt like this is a part that I'm eligible to play. I'm at the right age. There are so many things that I relate to emotionally to this character, and at the same time there are things that I would like to explore and discover. And so I mainly felt like this is a great opportunity, and it feels wonderful to have received it and gone through with it, and to be sitting here today talking about it with you.
Sure. Now, what will happen is that so you're working in Dhadak next, like a drama production, and so you have this entire like good-looking boy stance, and people are looking forward to that film, and it has all the conventional stuff as well. Anyway, that Shahryar is not the typical like film as well, if one has to take the especially the climax into account, but still it will be presented in a huge manner, big promotions and the entire scale and everything. So did you have any apprehensions that you are starting with a film which is like very realistic? Obviously the filmmaker is world class for the matter, but still जो एक typical जो Bollywood dream होता है कि student of the year type एक debut होएगा and that sort of promotions होंगे, did you have apprehensions that maybe it won't be your first film, like Dhadak won't be your first film?
Not at all, sir. The way it happened was that I received a call from Hani Trehan sir, who's the casting director of this film, and he was the first person to give me a little bit of an idea of the story and a brief of the character. And I remember very vividly, I won't tell you what it is because it would be a spoiler for a lot of the audiences, but he described the essence and the basic message of the film to me in one line, and I was immediately hooked, and I felt like, gosh, this is a profound thought to make a film on. And sure enough, I mean, it's Majid Majidi making the film. He is somebody who has made soulful films consistently, deeply humane films, and I am a huge admirer of his. I'd seen 3 films of his before I met with him. After meeting with him, I saw all of his work, barring Dhadak, which is his first film, which I saw most recently. Even he couldn't find it, but I'm very proud of the fact that I found that film and saw it. And I love all of his films, and so I saw this as an opportunity to be part of something that is that means a lot to me, and a film that I would want to watch. And once I read the script, which was a little after, I realized that this is such a universal story that not only Indians but people all over the world would be able to connect to it.
No, absolutely. I think it's like a superbly made film, and it's like a 20-year-old boy who's gone through a lot in life. It's not an easy life, be it crime, be it a lot of circumstances, living in a chawl, and extremely tough life for that matter. When you're playing this character, you become that character. You're looking like that character. You're convincing as that character. The sort of lingo and everything, the body language and everything is there. How will you prepare? How will you prepare for a role like this? Do you just bring out certain personal experiences as well, that in terms of, see, everyone goes through various experiences in life, and it's not like regular for everyone. It's like the contextual as well. So do you feel that if you've not had like maybe like a regular life for that matter, it in a way, just the experiences that you gather over the years, especially your childhood and everything, it helps in just getting into this character with a powerful zeal.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody has an emotional reservoir and a memory bank of their own,
right,
that they can borrow from and use to empower their characters.
Right.
With real emotion that actually has a history to it. But I think some of the things that went into preparation for this film were from a perspective of trying to understand the history of this character better, because I come from a family where I have grown up. I've been cultivated into the arts. I've had this to lean on and to in times that are difficult for me. Cinema has been kind of like a savior.
Right.
And here's a boy who was orphaned at a very young age, and he has nobody but his sister, who has raised him for a large part. And after a sequence of unfortunate events, he leaves his sister, and now he's lived on his own for years. And so while there were characteristics that I could relate to, he's an enterprising boy, he's a young, robust boy.
Right.
He's got this lust for life, and he's even talented. उसमें हुनर भी है, लेकिन वो कुछ कर नहीं पाता. उसके हालात ऐसे हैं कि वो कुछ कर नहीं पाता. With his circumstances. So I could relate to these characteristics, but there was an emotional history that I had to understand more deeply if I wanted to play this part. And so I had to isolate myself from my family, and I didn't do this consciously. I live with my mother, and I spend a lot of time with her. I'm very close to her. But I kind of found myself in the days leading up to shoot and the entire duration of shoot, which was about 3.5 months, I stayed away from my mom. I barely interacted with her. ढंग से बात नहीं हुई उनसे मेरी 3 महीने में. And then I spent time in the locations that this boy would have grown up, just to familiarize myself. The sights, the sounds, the smells. You hear something every now and then that just becomes a reference, and something that it just becomes a real memory.
Sure.
That you can borrow from. So there was some physical preparation that went into the part, but there was a lot of emotional preparation, and for the most part it was isolating myself, staying with the script and the text. The boys that are playing my friends in the film, one of them in particular, Sense, his name is Akash, but he calls himself Sense. He's a rapper. He's a boy who was born and brought up in Dharavi, and his trajectory has been similar to the characters. And spending time with them, talking to them, helped me understand this character better. So it was really a mix of things. It was basically just immersing myself in the world of the character. And I think for the most part it's important to recognize that any character that is the character stems from Majid Majidi. He's the writer and the director of the film. It's a part of him, it's an extension of him. So I unconsciously wanted to spend as much time as I could with him.
Sure.
Just understand what his vision is.
Sure.
What he wants to communicate through this film, and why these characters are the way they are. Just spend time around him, get to know him better.
Sure.
That gave me an idea of who this boy is as well.
Sure. When you look at this character now, when you look at the movie now, it's an extremely complex character. You can hate him at times because he can be extremely selfish.
Yeah.
He can be selfish to the extent that you can like that. How can you do something like this?
Yeah.
Because for your own selfish reasons. He can be vulnerable. He can be strong. He can be violent. He can be weak at times as well, and he can make decisions in a smart manner at times. There are moments when he's proved that maybe he has trusted someone and that person maybe has failed him completely. So it's an extremely, the character is there's a lot of shades to this character for the matter. Generally in Bollywood we have characters which are like, they have certain dimensions.
Confused.
It is confusing, obviously.
He can also be confused, and because at the end of the day he's an 18-year-old boy.
Exactly.
There's a lot of dilemma. He's still finding himself. he doesn't know who he is as a person just yet.
Right.
He's at that tender age where you're kind of discovering.
And he's searching for a family.
Yeah.
And he finds the family in a very strange circumstances. That in itself, I think, is very vulnerable and shows his vulnerability as well, in a way. So when you look at this character, what is your reaction? That who's this guy? How do you look at him? Amir.
Well, at first I was very fascinated by the character on text. I found that this is a character that goes through a whole gamut of emotions and just more than anything, I was just fascinated. I wanted to know. I was intrigued. I wanted to know who this boy is. And I think I kind of discovered him during the making of this film, and I'm still discovering some aspects of his personality. Definitely. Every time I watch the film. As I am discovering things about this film as well, I have to say, I'm going to use this opportunity to say that I've seen the film about 5 times, and to this date, when I go back and rewatch the film, I see something or the other that I haven't seen before. And I think that's,
there are a lot of,
and that's all to do with his mastery and his direction. There's something in the background action, the way the scene is set up,
the camera work.
Yeah, I have to say, sorry, I'm going to take this elsewhere entirely, but. We've shot a lot of this film in live locations.
I know that.
Okay, and a lot of times he's just set up the camera and allowed me to run through these locations and interact with them in a spontaneous manner. And he's not set juniors. He's just set a camera. You see Bombay for what it is, And a lot of times he's created the mise en scene. He's set up juniors and he's shot in an environment that is controlled. But in the film, you almost can't tell the difference. That's what I realized, that you can't tell the difference who's a junior, who's not, and who's... So I think he creates the world in such a wholesome manner that you can't help but... all you have to do is immerse yourself in it.
No, absolutely. So... we'll start with a rapid fire with Ishaan Khattar. Okay. Alright, one superpower you wish you had?
To be able to make people happy instantly.
Okay, if you could fly, where would you fly to and why?
I would fly to every possible place that I could. And if I could fly past the atmosphere, I would. The stratosphere, I would.
Okay.
Go into space.
Alright, describe the following people in one word, Mr. Shahid Kapoor.
I don't know why disciplined is the word that comes to mind, but perceptive is another one I would like.
Perceptive. Yeah. Okay. Shah Rukh Khan.
Enigmatic.
Considering you are playing Amir in the film, to Amir Khan.
Passionate.
Karan Johar.
Enterprising.
Majid Majidi.
Magical.
Okay, if you could tiptoe into the bedrooms of the following people, what are you likely to find? If you could tiptoe into the bedrooms of the following people, what are you likely to find? Shahid Kapoor.
A quilt and a bed. He likes to sleep.
Ranveer Singh.
No, I'm likely to find.
Right.
I don't know. What would I be doing in Ranveer Singh's bedroom?
This is hypothetical, actually. A lot of it is hypothetical in our interviews.
I don't know. I think something bizarre. Probably like, a robe made out of like unicorn skin or something.
Okay. Rakhi Sawant. What are you likely to find in Rakhi Sawant? If you tiptoe into Rakhi Sawant's bedroom, what are you likely to find?
Probably Rakhi Sawant. I tiptoed in her room.
She in itself must be hugely entertaining.
I guess, yeah.
Okay. Donald Trump.
I get into trouble for saying this, but a wig perhaps.
A wig perhaps. Yeah. All right. SRK, Salman, Amir, Irfan, your favorite Khan?
Well, I think I admire all of them for different reasons, but I think I would say Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay, so Shah Rukh Khan fans will be extremely happy with this. Okay, Shahid, Hrithik, Tiger Shroff, Prabhudeva, the better dancer. Who's the best dancer out of these 4?
Shahid Kapoor.
Shahid Kapoor. Okay. Shahid said in an interview that you are the better dancer between the two of you. Do you agree?
I disagree.
Okay, all right. If you can comment on the following, Bollywood is star-driven and not content-driven.
I think we're moving towards a different direction. I think perhaps there's reason to believe that the first statement, I mean the statement itself, but I think we're moving towards a more content-based future.
Sure. Okay. Airport paparazzi.
Out of place.
Out of place. Okay, so I'll get something which you'll find maybe more interesting. These are like tricky ones actually. So if you met, these are interesting ones. If you met the following filmy characters, what would you do?
Okay.
If you met the following filmy characters, what would you do if you meet Heather?
Oh, probably, you know, go on a shikara ride with him and try and understand what's in his head.
Okay, all the entire dialogue, maybe Azadi dialogue or something, if you can pause. Okay, Ali from Children of Heaven.
Ali from Children of Heaven. I would probably gift him a pair of shoes for his sister.
Okay, what would you do if you meet Chulbul Pandey from Dabang?
Ask him if he'd be interested in giving me a shooting lesson.
Okay, shooting lessons.
Yeah, I think he has a flair for guns, no?
Yeah, sure. What would you do if you meet Alex Parrish from Quantico? It's not exactly a film, but...
Well, I haven't seen the series yet, so I'm not sure what she's like. So perhaps try to get to know her better.
Perhaps get to know
Take
Alex
a shikara
Parrish.
ride with her as well.
Alex Parrish is in New York? Yeah. Okay. Okay, Priyanka Chopra, Deepika Padukone, Alia Bhatt, Anushka Sharma, who's your favorite?
I think it would be a tie between Deepika Padukone and Alia Bhatt.
Deepika Padukone and Alia Bhatt.
Yes.
Okay, so that is interesting. So he's keeping his options open. So you never know that you'll be seeing him with Deepika Padukone.
Hey, that's not why I didn't have hidden agendas. So.
Okay, but I think people would love to see that. It'll be like an interesting pairing as well. Age is no bar these days. Okay, now quickly we'll get down to some fan questions before we are whisked away out of this room, literally. Okay,
That's
is
a very
what?
gentle word you chose to use.
Yeah, they can literally just.
I don't think that would be the.
They'll bulldoze and. Okay, this is Alina from New York, United States. Have you had different experiences on the sets of Beyond the Clouds and Dhadak? And how is Dhadak shoot going?
Well, I'll answer the latter part of that question first. Shoot is going well. We have a few days of work left. Yes, I have had very different experiences on the set of Beyond the Clouds and Dhadak. They're very different films, they're very different people who are involved in them, entirely different teams. And, you know, aside from 2 or 3 people, it's an entirely different unit. So, yeah, there's a very similar energy on both films, and it is one of positivity. And both films I'm very much in love with. Yeah, and I'm still in the midst of shoot for Dhadak, so I'm enjoying the experience as well.
This is Dia from Kolkata. Do you consider your brother as your idol?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, this is
one of my idols, one of the biggest influences in my life.
Okay, this is Pratik Ukesh from Hyderabad. Was it fun doing Zingat with Jahnvi Kapoor?
Oh yeah.
Right.
You'll see.
Because I think in Sarah, that song, I think it was a huge success.
Great song, yeah.
Right. Okay, and
Amitabh Bhattacharya
has written
2 words for you.
Right, and the composers are Ajay Atula.
Yeah. Very much
okay. So. This is Mohammad Sardar from Iraq, Kurdistan. How's your relation with Shahid Kapoor? How he helps you to be an actor? Maybe he's not framed the correct English that way, but generally asking about your...
Well, we're both deeply passionate about cinema and music, and dancing and acting, and we bond over that. And we're very close as brothers. I grew up with him. I was very young when he forayed into films. He became a movie star, and so I've spent a lot of time with him on his sets because I really was always fascinated by that. And he always allowed me to be around, and he would speak to me about his journey as a performer. And so you know, there are these things that we share. We share the same love for arts and cinema. And besides that, he's an elder brother, very much so like the Bada Bhai. he assumes that responsibility.
Yeah, extremely protective actually.
Completely.
Extremely protective as well. Yeah.
Yes, he's almost 15 years older than me.
Right.
So he really enjoys that he gets to call the shots in a lot of situations. But at the same time, I come from a very liberal family, so he allows me to make my own decisions, my own choices, and grow as an individual. So it's a like a wholesome relationship, and and we're like unbreakable, we're brothers.
Yeah, in fact, the first time that I met Ishaan was in Bangalore when they had this
the air show
for Mausam, and before the interview, he just came in and we met.
Yeah, so this is what I mean. He got to do this extraordinary thing where he actually was the first actor, I think, in India who got to fly an F-18, if I'm not wrong. And I got to go there with him, sit in the simulator, do it myself, and live that moment vicariously with him, and it's great. That's been the kind of relationship we shared, because he's been so busy for the larger part of my growing up years that by default, if I wanted to spend time with him, it would be
on the film sets,
on his film sets or at work. And I couldn't be more happy, because there's this environment that I love and I'm so curious about and I want to learn about, and I got to spend exclusive time there, and I got to spend time there with him as well. So yeah, so that's why it's a very big part of our relationship, films, because we're both very passionate about it and we can talk about it tirelessly.
The interesting part is that Shahid Kapoor, he did that entire air show thing, but the fact is that he doesn't even like the normal flying as well.
That's true.
He was flying a fighter.
At the time, for a very long time, he would be airsick and he had a problem with turbulence. He was a nervous flyer.
Right.
But that's an actor's life, isn't it? I think that's what's wonderful about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you
push your limits as a human being, and you get to take yourself in directions you never saw yourself going in. And as an actor, you get to be everything, or at least get a taste of everything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
okay. I don't know what the name is. Junior_SS Tiwari. From Bhopal. Hey Ishaan, who's your favorite young generation actor and why? Amongst the younger generation, who's your favorite actor?
Who comes under the young generation?
I'd say Tiger and
Varun,
and I think because I think he's referring to that.
So who would you say?
Tiger, Varun, maybe Siddharth and Ranveer, and so those are the ones I think will be in the younger generation. Maybe a bit more, few more as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, of the four that you mentioned, I really have enjoyed and admired Ranveer's work, and I really like Varun as a personality. I really enjoy watching him on screen, so I think I would say these two, yeah.
Great. Aliza from Pakistan, who do you consider as your mentor in Bollywood besides your brother Shahid Kapoor?
Probably be Karan Johar, because he really assume that responsibility, and still does and teaches me a lot.
No, absolutely. Okay, this is Rahul Narwar from Agra. What's your reaction when you see Shahid as Maharaval, Ratan Singh, Royal Rajput King and Padmavat?
Oh, I thought he played that part with panache, and he was splendid, and he brought a whole new dimension to it, and he was so internalized but so powerful at the same time, and he was phenomenal in the war sequences, and when he really had an opportunity to be out there as a guy. But I think he played that part with such grace. It was phenomenal.
No, absolutely. I think the subtlety part is something which is really. Okay, this is Ahmed from Germany. He's also Ahmed from Germany, and the question is, what are the similarities between your personality and Shahid's?
Well, for one,
you guys dance very well.
Yeah, we're dancers. That's a very big part of our personality. I can now say we're both actors, which again is a very big part of our personality. And I think we're similar in terms of our mannerisms and certain such things. But besides that, I think we're both similar and very different also in certain ways.
I think both are water signs.
Yeah.
You're a Scorpio from what I understand.
He's a Piscean.
He's a Piscean. Okay, this is Khadija from South Africa. Hi Ishaan,
it's also my nanny's name.
Khadija?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I believe your Nana was a writer from what I understand.
He was, yeah.
I'm sure that must have been...
He wrote for Sputnik. That's again a very big influence.
Must be. I was thinking of saying that.
Yeah.
Must have been an influence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk. I would love to talk about your Nana as well, because I think that's
we'll
very
come back
interesting.
to that, sir.
Khadija from South Africa, Ishaan, your most memorable moment from the sets of Beyond the Clouds. So this is something that she'll be happy with.
The most memorable moment from the sets of Beyond the Clouds, the one that comes to mind right now is I had this scene that was sort of like a little monologue, and I remember that we'd set apart this time for a night shift to shoot that, because we didn't have this location for very long, but he assumed that we'll take a long time to do it, and we did 2 takes, and he had the shot, and it feels like a very...
Was it a sing sound?
It was. It feels like a very intimate thing to reveal, but I remember doing the scene and looking towards Majidi sir while he was watching the replay on the monitor.
Ji.
And he's never this verbal and this vocal to me in person, and never this appreciative openly. But he was watching this shot, and it was a long 2.5 minute shot. And I remember that he did that to the monitor.
Wow.
And I think that was my happiest moment.
His entire, I think, shot taking is like very poetic. Even, you know, वो जो sequences हैं कि जो I think laundry के sequences हैं, जो जैसे चौल में जैसे laundry होता है, and
धोबी घाट में
जी, and those white वो जो चादरें पड़ी हुई हैं और जो वहाँ से जो sequences, I think this beautiful
जिस तरह से उन्होंने वो shot taking की है,
वो उसमें shadow के form में लिया है,
बात कहने का तरीका वही तो है फिल्म में.
It is beautiful the way he has taken it. Okay, Ananya Dev from West Bengal. My question is, what inspired you to be an actor? This is an interesting question.
Cinema itself, cinema and life, and I really think that they're very synonymous, and they are from each other. And I think I was very young when I became very fascinated with films. And as far as I can remember, this is what I wanted to do. And so I think everything, growing up that I experienced only reassured me that this is what I wanted to do. But cinema itself inspires me to be an actor.
Do you find it cathartic? Acting, do you find it cathartic?
Very much so, yeah.
Okay. This is Sonia from Stuttgart, Germany. Would you like to act with your brother in a movie? If yes, what kind of a movie should it be?
Oh yeah, I would love to be in a film with him. If I am fortunate enough to ever get the opportunity to act with him, it would be a dream. But also it's very important that it's an equal opportunity for both, and it's not just because we can.
Absolutely.
You know, and that it's something significant and something that requires actors like us to be a part of it. So while it might be a personal fantasy of mine, I would want to wait for the right thing to come by.
Definitely.
Want to be a part of it. And I think to answer what kind of film it would be, I think it could be any kind of film. I wouldn't want to impose any restriction on that. But I think there's a possibility that both of us might really enjoy doing a musical together.
Yeah, like a dance-off between the two of you.
Not necessarily a dance-off, just a musical. It could be any story.
People would love to see that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because people would love to see you guys. Okay, this is Mariam from Egypt. Who's your inspiration?
Who's my inspiration in general?
Ji.
Well, right now, Majid Majidi.
Ah, okay. John from Varanasi, best and hard moment while shooting Dhadak.
Best what moment?
Best and hard.
Best and hard.
At times, क्या होता है that they may not have the most correct English, but maybe what he's saying, that tough moment in terms of while shooting.
Yeah, maybe what he means is a difficult moment that was satisfying.
Moment, yeah.
I can tell you that it was recently a scene that we filmed in Calcutta. That was fairly, it's difficult to
must be. People will be very curious to know that, since it's an adaptation, and it's so fresh in people's minds. How are you adapting it, and are you making changes and all that stuff? Because that'll be very, very interesting. Because it's a movie which is very fresh in people's minds. Sarat. It's something so.
That's true.
So there's so many things that Ishaan Khattar we would love to speak to him about. This is Yamini from Sydney, Australia. How was your experience training with Shamak?
Oh, it was a very educative experience. I learned a lot about various Western styles of dance. I got to learn under him personally for 1 year because I enrolled in a course called OYP. He was my brother's guru, and then I learned from him. So I already had an idea of who he was as a person before I started learning from him. But it was a very intensive dance course, and there were a lot of teachers involved. And we were working about 12 to 14 hours a day every day. And I think that helped me develop a lot physically and learn a lot about various styles of dance and explore and open up physically as a performer. So that was a really good experience. Yeah.
Right, Ishaan Khattar, lovely talking to you, and I must tell you that in fact once I saw the film, I must share this with you. After watching the film, my first sentiment was that when I came and met you, and apparently you knew me.
Yeah.
So I've known a lot of stars, but I really felt good that he's such a fine actor and he knows me. So the first sentiment that comes to mind is that of respect. That it's a very respectable performance, and I'm sure that you'll be getting a great response as well once people start watching it.
Thank you so much.
So looking forward to Beyond the Clouds, and wonderful journey ahead for that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.
Hi, this is Ishaan, and you're watching me on Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.